welcome back to the Dot and Adanas Power Hour. We're here for Monday Night Smite, moving away from Europe and now to North America. We've got two teams, Luminosity taking on Randozos.
Something important to note here is Randozos, once again, not really a roster swap, but they're going to be playing with PolarBearMike today in place of their new support, SkeeledOn. Taking a look at the standings, though, we are actually starting to see some separation in the squads.
Yeah, I mean, Randozos, like I said before the break, is still struggling to find a win. Will it come against Luminosity? I mean, week 1, you say absolutely not. Week 4, week 5 now, I mean, Luminosity has struggled against some of the teams. They're very much a middle-of-the-pack team, not quite a top team as far as the standings are concerned. I don't think you can write anything off of the table.
It's going to be hard for them, though. I mean, it's very important for Luminosity to not only win these games, but make them statement games, right? Eager found themselves struggling a little bit against Randozos, and I think a lot of that off of them. I don't know if disrespect is the right word. I think it was more of not. I think it was more of not respecting them, where they felt like they were just going to walk all over them, and they didn't seem to be as prepared and disciplined as they were when they faced off against the likes of a team like Thor.
It's possible, but I feel like I've heard that statement a couple of times, and you don't make that mistake too many times, especially if you're a team as seasoned as Luminosity. And you know, to that extent, I think it's quite a different story on the other side for Randozos with PolarBearMike here. Right, last week we saw Randozos still not winning, but their solo laner Whalrus looked very clean, looked very good, and he's going to stick around. And then you get PolarBearMike, one of the players that I really think can make an impact on a team. So as we get into picks and bans, we'll see if PBM is able to turn things around for the Clowns. They're going to go for first pick and first ban, and we'll see where they opt to go.
They never really seem to have a discernible strategy. Honestly,
right?
They signed it. You know, you'll see like the likes of Eager, where it's like, all right, we're gonna run this Sobek, a Wheelish, and then like a Zeus or a high damage mid to combo, or like the European teams are like, all right, we're running Naja with like a Scylla or another high burst mage. They just seem to like reactionary pick instead of go into games with a set strategy in mind.
And with that, Randozos sort of gonna think about it, and they're gonna take both the Naja and the Zeus off of the table. So these very much are not your typical, I don't know what you would call meta bans. They're specific to LG.
Sol and Athena going to be locked away by Luminosity, so they don't want the global rotational power of Athena.
Nope.
And I think that is kind of a shot at Randozos and the fact that they do like to fight, right? And they are willing to burn that Athena ultimate the second it looks like something's going to break out. Randozos also first picking Apollo. I like this from them because I do think they're the weakest team right now in the SPL, honestly, between both regions. And when you're the weakest team, what you want to aim for is early game, because that's everyone's always playing that, right? You learn the late game slowly, the more you compete against kind of these top teams. But if you can make it out of the early game, even or ahead against the top squads, you hold a chance.
And also, Meerkat has shown that he's willing to and kind of wants to box these hunters one-on-one. I think BaRRaCCuDDa or no-name guy one-on-one, Meerkat wants to take him. Meerkat knows, and correctly so. Make no bones about it, folks. Meerkat can win those boxing matches against the best of them, and Apollo is going to put him in the position to do so.
All right, you need to stop calling Zapman Mr. No Name. Like, this is getting really annoying. Zapman is the best hunter in North America.
I'm actually going to punch you!
He's like the best hunter in North America this, but I can't believe you would disrespect him like this. Luminosity, though, they're actually looking for the early game. Isis Thor going to be picked up for that mid-jungle synergy, one of the strongest we have ever seen, and still holding, I think, the crown as the top two-man army.
I mean, if I'm making a movie called Mid-Lane Pressure, that's my leading man and leading woman right there. They're easily the best at not their position, but that mindset, that early game mindset in their position. So Khepri also going to be picked up, and Janus.
Mobility.
Yeah.
Safety.
Yeah.
I really like this composition coming out from Randozos so far. Obviously, they're going to have the pressure in the duo lane with Khepri. It's kind of like that old school Sylvanas where it's like, it really doesn't matter what hunter you pair with Khepri or Sylvanas. It's like, you're going to win lane unless you're matched up against Zenith, who can only stalemate it. And then the Janus, once again, global rotational powers. Also, kind of a peel for yourself god, which means PolarBearMike is going to have one less carry to really worry about as long as Aduro positions himself correctly.
Any hunter goes with Khepri, but Apollo maybe even more so just because of how deep Apollo goes. You have to make sure, PBM has to make sure that Apollo doesn't go too deep out of range, but PolarBearMike has always been very good when it comes to positioning relative to his teammates, so keep an eye on that. No monkey for Skeeledon. And with the Naja ban, we're going to see something new from Skeely. These are two of the gods that we see a lot out of Skeeledon.
I'm trying to think if there was I'm trying to recall if there's been something else we've seen. I know these are like the only two we've really seen.
You can always say Thor.
Hey, man.
You can only the jungler. I mean, he's got god pool. Just say Thor.
Kali banned away as well. So Luminosity, they're targeting out Skeeledon's god pool right now. He's going to be on something a little bit new. Could look for maybe a Fenrir or something. Randozos though, they're going to ban away Ho-Yi. So they don't want BaRRaCCuDDa on that one.
Not at all.
Which is like that's like a Gold Fury team, right? You get a Ho-Yi there, it's like Intoxicate, Suns, I mean Thor in general, and then Ice Assault, that's a Gold Fury team.
And Ho-Yi just works out very well for BaRRa. He's mid to late game, more so than early game. His abilities lend himself easily to the team fight rotations, like you said, the Gold Fury. So just banning that out against BaRRaCCuDDa, a good choice. And Bellona will be the solo lane of choice for Whalrus, or excuse me, Snoopy on Luminosity. I like that.
Serqet.
And the Serqet.
Okay.
That's got Skeeledon all over it if you know him outside of the SPL.
That's a gank-centric god here. And then Randozos, they're looking for a Whalrus. I assume it's going to be a warrior. Yep, but it's going to be Vamana. I was thinking maybe an Osiris there. Generally has a good matchup against Bellona here. But Luminosity, last pick for them, looking for BaRRaCCuDDa's Hunter. This, honestly, could be a team that we see Artemis on.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I guess not against a Vamana.
It's
JeffHindla instead. So still late game we're looking.
Late game, and SPL is definitely safer with the dash, the Rising Jaguar, but still the idea of just the late game in-hand hunter, that's very much what SPL does.
And they do need this late game. They're matched up against Apollo, Vamana. Serqet can kind of carry over well depending, Janus, Khepri as well. So, I mean, Randozos, they don't really have a ton of early pressure, but they have a lot of mid and late game and a lot of rotational power on their squad.
Luminosity really likes this, and I call it, and I tend to call it like the solitaire composition, where you have everything just spread out, right? You got early game god in Isis and Thor, you got mid game god in Thor and Bellona, and you got late game stuff in the Xbalanque, right? You can just play the game of Smite, get your kills as they lie. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to force a specific strategy, like a very intricate gank combo or team fight combo. Everything just flows naturally as long as a monkey wrench doesn't get thrown in. And Randozos, on the other hand, that's what they're going to look to do. They're going to look to make Luminosity stutter step and stop the natural power curve of this team.
And early game, we're lined up here. PolarBearMike rocking that meditation on his Khepri. On the other side, JeffHindla looking for the shell. So continuing the trend of remember when Season 3 first started, everyone was like, you got to get Curse level 1, you got to get Sprint level 1. Since then, everyone's like, you got to go Shell or Meditation. Like, it doesn't really... Every once in a while, we'll see a Curse. Every once in a while, we'll see a Sprint, depending on compositions. But, like, Shell and Meditation have become staples.
And the Shell works very well for what Randozos have to do against Luminosity. Like I said, LG has a very well-rounded composition. They have this power curve that is only going to be stopped by ganks, essentially, which is why I love the Serqet choice on Randozos. It's Skeeledon's job to put Luminosity a step or two behind in various places. The Shell is going to stop that. You can't heal up. You can't heal up with Meditation, but you can reduce the damage you take. Even true damage is affected by raw mitigated damage. So the Shell going to help out in that regard, deal with the ganks coming out of Skeely's jungler.
So, mid-camps, they're going to be split both ways. Luminosity, like we said, they should have the pressure here. Isis Thor, it's a lot of damage. But actually, Wind Gust interrupted by Aduro, you don't really see that used too often. That's actually not that easy to line up because Wind Gust, you get kind of this bonus movement speed from it. So, you very rarely will see that used to interrupt. Like, you'll see like maybe an Agni stun if you can line it up perfectly, but very rarely the portals. Really nice. Coming up from Aduro. And this is just stop the aggression, right? Yeah. Now Thor and Isis can't full clear the wave right there.
And this is definitely the expected outcome. If mid lane is supposed to go Luminosity's way, this long lane is supposed to go Randozos' way to the nth degree. Not only do you have Apollo with the throwing dagger for Audacity, easy clear, but Khepri, just one of the more push-oriented gods when it comes to supports, and if you do find yourself up too far at level 5, there's the ult. So expect Randozos to be past that halfway mark on the map in this lane a lot.
You know, I really like Randozos' comp here.
I really like
in addition to this, I mean, Luminosity's been struggling, and they have PolarBearMike back, which I'm pretty sure was their main shot caller, right? If you follow him on Twitter or kind of listen to anything he says, he's a very intelligent guy.
He
really knows how to kind of like corral a team and knows what to do in most situations. He also was on Eager, right? The Eager from the fall split, the team that was second by the end of it. Also went to Super Regionals. Obviously, they didn't make it to Worlds, but still had a very good showing, going all 5 games with Cloud9, you know, the eventual one of the best teams in Europe.
First Blood might be looking for Snoopy. Not going to
Whalrus
find
wants
it.
Oh, no.
Whalrus continuing to do very well. Last outing of Randozos, Whalrus was able to do well despite the loss, and this time around, same thing. Send Snoopy back to base just 2 minutes in.
And you can see Whalrus wants to find that kill. No Eagles rally
He
available.
He didn't go back.
No, he has his teleport, but he wanted a little bit more farm. You can see Whalrus trying to poke him out. Has ults of his... Oh, no. He actually didn't level his ult.
Nope.
So that may be something that Snoopy could take advantage of if Whalrus isn't careful, but doesn't look like anyone wants to gank just yet.
It's an interesting choice, and you know what? I don't hate it, because at level... Even with the big baby at level 5, diving that tower is a little bit iffy, right? It's a little bit iffy, but what's not iffy is the burst damage that's going to come out of your abilities. Skeeledon in some trouble, misses the taunt to interrupt, and I love the Spirit Ball choice from BaRRaCCuDDa, knowing exactly where Skeeledon's going to jump to. Doesn't find the kill, but Skeeledon narrowly escapes danger.
And once again, Skeeledon, kind of the same story as Jiffy for me. Like, I know this guy's a good player, but he has just been missing his abilities, as well as the relics have been the big thing for me. I've seen multiple times Skeeledon fall with both relics up, and this was opportunities that maybe he gets out. But PolarBearMike isolated off from the rest of his team, hits a beautiful root. Snoopy's here as well. Snoopy's in a little bit of trouble, but it's Skeeledon who's being pressured out, knocked up. First blood goes the way of JeffHindla.
Duro not going to find the long-range snipe either, and now Whalrus is the one in some trouble, surrounded by red, forced into the ultimate. There's good damage from Duro. Will the kill be found with the BaRRaCCuDDa?
Wall.
No, a beautiful wall from Andy prevents the big baby from surging forward. Hi, Meerkat.
I mean, Meerkat finding the last hit, though, comes crashing down, equalizes it, and now Randozos, they're just going to go back to farming, it seems, but Luminosity walk away with the first blood on Skeeledon.
Very important trade back kill. That's the dive that needs to happen, right? The secure kill, you want to answer back. You don't get the 500 that the enemy gets for the first blood, but staying those toe-to-toe kills are very important to keep the game relevant and keep the game even. I love the rotation coming out from Meerkat there. Very intelligent use of diving that tower.
Skeeledon, though, not too worried about it. You could see that was actually a 4-way split. That's the thing, right? If you get first blooded, one of the worst things that can happen is if you get soloed, because that's 500 gold to the other person. But when it's 4 people, the gold spread isn't that much. It also went to JeffHindla, who you can see he's got a 200 gold lead, but that's all negligible at this point. I mean, boots are finished by PolarBearMike as well, so andinster not really ahead of Skeeledon in any manner right now.
JeffHindla going for the Tims. The tank boots coming out on the Bacchus. These boots are very rarely bought. Honestly, Xayah buys it in short lane Vamana, which is very strange, but outside of that, we don't see them too much.
You'll see EU supports do it sometimes.
Crowd control reduction, probably what he's looking for here.
I mean, it's just a little bit more survivability against these teams. Obviously, JeffHindla is a very aggressive support. You'll see a lot of times he gets picked off on rotations. Now, sometimes it's to the benefit of Luminosity, where he kind of like he baits himself, and like that's why he goes the shell as well, because he likes to be aggressive. He likes to jump in, and then if he has the not only tank boots but the shell as well, he can survive kind of the counter engages, and that's going to allow andinster and TheBoosh to follow up and finish off some kills.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely make it more tanky.
I feel like it's a playstyle more than anything.
Exactly. There's multiple approaches when it comes to the Bacchus. You guys know how much I love the magic boots, but that's kind of the opposite side of it. The magic boots allow Bacchus to be a big part of the damage and lower the damage threshold, allowing your teammates to go ahead and find the kills. By going the tank boots here, Jeff is going to be able to stay in the team fights. That burp is going to be more relevant in the sense of just sustained damage.
You know how I talked about, you kind of want to have a couple carries? Right?
Superstars?
If you want to be a #1 team in the world or a #1 or 2 team in your region, you got to have at least one superstar, right? The only team right now that doesn't follow that path is Enemy. And I think they have some players developing into the superstars I'm talking about.
I would disagree and say Pain, but keep going. Okay,
but support style, the only true hard carry in support is Trixtang.
Yeah.
Like, he has such a high kill share percentage, such a high damage numbers, no matter what god he's on. He is the only support that is like a true carry, and he's the one who goes the Magi's on Bacchus.
Well, aggression coming out from Luminosity. They're going to go ahead and invade the Randozos. Blue buff going the way of Randozos, so unsuccessful invade. Whalrus still able to go ahead and get his mana buff.
Ooh, andinster taking a shot from Unstable Vortex there. The Janus, with these penetration boots, not giving anything up, and Randozos, they're not going to be giving this up either, and that's actually aggression, but once again, Randozos, they're on different pages.
Yeah.
Skeeledon, Meerkat doing mid camps. Janus and, Khepri are trying to pick someone off. Very awkward.
Yeah, play of opportunity.
Very awkward.
Play of opportunity there. I think that Aduro and PolarBearMike saw something that Skeely and Meerkat didn't. And
Still, that's a wind-up ability on
exactly.
Janus.
That's what I'm saying. The communication breakdown was just the button press came before the communication, and in an ideal situation, I think that's how it goes. But Randozos still working on this again with the rotating door of a roster. PolarBearMike returns, and this is likely to be a substitute, I expect. PolarBearMike,
I would imagine.
Yeah, PolarBearMike had been on this team, if you're less familiar, he had been on this team at the beginning of the season and then stepped down, saying that he was really looking for frankly, a more successful team. That's basically what he said. He either want to be successful or just leave altogether, so just subbing in for now.
This is what Luminosity's comp is based around, though. These gold tiers. They have Circle Protection, they have Intoxicate, they have all these AoEs. Luminosity, they're going to secure it. Meerkat tries to steal it away, but Circle Protection, the burst is a little bit too much, and they're going to find themselves with about a 1,500 gold lead. And I would imagine that Luminosity, they're gonna pressure it again in 5 minutes.
I would imagine so. Like you said, I mean, the team comp is very. That's the beautiful thing that I like about this comp.
Andy, that's my boy. You see that reaction time? He tries to just get free poke off, and the second Skeeledon goes aggressive on him, he knows his hammer's down. The only thing he can do is die or ult away. Doesn't even allow Skeeledon to get close to him before he takes to the sky.
And you know what? I don't think that. I think that was anticipatory. I don't even think that was reaction time. I think he threw a hammer and went. I mean, if I was Serqet, I'd come at me. So just throw the hammer, hit ult, and away he goes. Just try to get what he can. And Snoopy now. Turn around in the solo lane. Snoopy doing very well, pushing Whalrus onto his tower.
He wants for a kill. He's getting baited a little bit.
Yes.
Whalrus, though, doesn't want to get baited, and Aduro backs off there. But you can see PolarBearMike and Skeeledon in the mid lane splitting this. So this is fine for Aduro to share here, but it actually looks like Whalrus doesn't even want to back. No teleport for 25 seconds, so he wants to get as much farm as he can without missing.
I loved that play by Randozos, honestly. You know your jungler is going to be splitting with mid anyway, right? And PolarBearMike's rotating. That Aduro can take that opportunity to go to the solo lane. You don't see that a lot, and just being able to watch the lane, I like that rotation from Aduro a lot.
And now,
Whalrus 1
does
HP.
get dove. He's going to be able to heal up, and I don't think Snoopy has the damage to finish him off. The rest of the team has rotated. No Eagles rally, and there's the connection. Snoopy should fall here unless andinster could somehow make a rotation.
The Unstable Vortex missed, but, I mean, that dot certainly won't Skeeledon with the kill for Randozos.
So andinster burns his ult earlier, so instead of trying to come and counter gank, because it's unlikely that it happens, he steals away the blue buff. He's still going to find Skeeledon as well, maybe under tower. Taunted, there's the Purification Spear Ball. Off the mark here, but rotation from PBM.
Not gonna find Andy on any abilities really. Whalrus charging up the lane, but I think that's about it.
Ooh.
Big hit from Aduro, but not enough to follow off of, I think.
And even if he hits andinster there, I don't think Randozos can really kind of connect. Something small, but Meerkat actually outboxing BaRRaCCuDDa in BaRRaCCuDDa's own jungle, able to steal away the red buff. I was taking a look at the minimap during that engagement on the right-hand side. So Meerkat showing he can play with the best of them. Although, to be fair, he is up against JeffHindla, who's not really going to be the best early on.
Yeah, this matchup leans heavily in Meerkat's favor at this stage of the game. Very, very much so. With a couple of items, you'll see it gradually slant towards the jungle cat.
I mean, it's the Audacity passive, right? When that's up, before, big items are online, you're shooting out twice the amount of auto attacks as your opponent for those 10 shots.
Literally.
Like,
I mean,
it's 100% attack speed.
Yep, it's just...
Yo, that passive is OP, that's all I'm saying.
That passive is very, very strong.
And it's funny, too, because there's talks about it, right? Because it's like, oh, one of the most efficient things you can do with Apollo is, like, get enough attack speed to where when you have Audacity, you max out, right? It's 2.5, you don't go over. But the thing is, the more attack speed you have, the more often that passive is up, increasing your attack speed.
Yeah.
So you'll see people, like, over cap when it comes to the passive, but they just have it up so much more often.
Yep, and the idea of caps have been so malleable. Like, I think that's the best example is the attack speed cap with Apollo, but you'll frequently see supports go over cooldown reduction cap just for the right items.
And I think that there's two things to it where it allows it. First of all, you start off the game, you want a Breastplate of Valor. Well, the later the game goes, okay, I really need the Spirit's Robe, and that just happens to overcap me because I have another item. It's like, this is the best item I can get right now. Yeah, I messed up, but the build had to transition with how the game went. Or, it's like you said, like, hey man, look at that cloak tree. Mantle of Discord, AoE stun, Spirit's Robe, you get CC, 10% damage reduction. The new Genji's Garb, where like 2 seconds off your cooldowns and 10% CDR, and then Breastplate, which you're probably going to buy early. Aggression, though, actually,
look at that
Andinster.
Trap! Andinster barely gets out. Randozos completely trap LG. There's damage from Skeely. It's not going to be enough to kill. Needs some follow-up from Enduro. Unstable Vortex, again, going to miss. And everybody on Luminosity going to live.
Meerkat landing down. Mike can turn on. He's surrounded. He's dead.
Meerkat unable to make it to the other side with his team. Using the ultimate for the rotation. Very curious to see why he didn't just ult with the squad.
Trying to make a play on his own. I think that's the problem that Randozos have had. It's like, once in a while, like, a player starts to feel himself, and it's like, let's fight. Even at the mid-camps, right? PolarBearMike and Enduro ulting forward when they had 2 players right next to them that were doing mid-camps. Like, it just seems like on a different page sometimes. Really focusing on trying to make some individual plays here. But Andinster barely getting out of that thanks to the Snoopy meditation. We didn't talk about that.
Right, and I think that play is more indicative of what Randozos is capable of, as this time the blue buff does get stolen.
When does JeffHindla? Yo, JeffHindla is so... He's like, I get a buff?
Yep.
That's the only time a support ever gets buff, is when you, like, steal it away and, like, your other players all have buffs.
When you steal the blue buff. When you steal the red buff, everybody's rotating. Big damage coming out of Luminosity. They're looking to fight in the enemy jungle. Not going to find it.
And Randozos, they've been holding on pretty well. Still only that 1,500 gold lead from Luminosity. So they got Gold Fury at 8 minutes. They haven't been able to extend it here. And no circle of protection, so they're not looking for it, but they really need that up before they force it again.
A big part of what's keeping Randozos together here, KK, I think, is Skeeledon. Skeeledon has been playing well. He's got 1 kill and 1 death, and honestly, like you said, the Snoopy meditation is what saved Andy there. That was another kill for Skeeledon. And just having the luxury of a jungle is so important at Smite in all levels, whether you're level 1, level 30 in ranked, or in the SPL. You need the jungle threat. It impacts so many different lanes, and Luminosity are finally a little bit, scared is never the right word, but they're aware of Skeeledon's threat. It's actually there.
Honestly, if Luminosity were playing like Eager, Randozos would have a lead right now, because Eager were very aggressive, forcing fights, and Randozos have proven that they can hold their own. They're going to have the red buff stolen away, and Skeeledon going to be pressured out once again, but it's respect. They're going to take the buff and then poke. They're not trying to force an engagement unless they see an opportunity.
And that's a conscious effort from Luminosity, recognizing what's allowing Randozos to keep up with them and taking it away. Skeeledon is the character that's doing well and he's keeping up, and hey, he's got an experienced lead on Andinster. Well, how do you mitigate that? You take away the farm that the Serqet is able to be guaranteed. You steal away the buffs, and all of a sudden the Skeeledon, if the ripple effect goes the way that Luminosity wants it to, now Andinster has the lead, and Skeeledon can't be as effective in those ganks.
You know, funny enough, though, Skeeledon has a slight experience lead and is even in gold, with Andinster having that 200-odd gold from that early Gold Fury at 8 minutes. So, doing a little bit better job of farming. We have seen Andinster very deep in the jungle, though, looking for opportunities. Not so much farming, right? This is kind of a new generation Andinster as well.
Yeah.
Old school, real old school Andy was like, I'm just going to farm, right? And it's like, if someone's out of position as I'm taking a camp, I will gank. Outside of that, though, I'm just team fighting in the mid game.
Youngbei, the jungler.
Yes, that was him. But it was also, you know, Andinster with, like, immaculate mechanical skills and great decision making.
Exactly.
No, not a shot at Youngbei. Like, I'm not trying to, like... Youngbei, obviously, very solid as well. Won the launch tournament.
I wonder if he'll find a team. You know, roster locks, we're at the halfway point, so roster locks are next week.
Yo, I love my boy Renz, but I mean, Dignitas Youngbei.
Youngbei's out there. PolarBearMike is theoretically out there.
If he drops off of this team and is just subbing for the week.
I think, and that's kind of what I think. Hold that thought though. BaRRaCCuDDa is in trouble. Andy sees it, goes right to the sky, and the spread out from Randozos is perfect.
Just a giant circle, meaning even if he comes landing down, someone's going to be able to CC him right after that and help get their teammates out. But Luminosity still with an advantage, pressuring into the jungle once again.
Yeah.
Aduro was able to secure this last time. We'll see if he can do it once again.
And this is exactly what Luminosity
Meerkat's in the sky. They're looking for Snoopy.
He lands right on top of the solo laner. Snoopy in some trouble. Finds a way out on the backside, but Whalrus giving chase. Up in the big baby. Aduro just barely missing, but the ability's able to come out now from Whalrus. Silenced out of the dash. That's a problem. Snoopy turning it around. Hit from Unstable Vortex is good, but just not enough. Snoopy gets saved by the entirety of his team. Well played by everyone, but now JeffHindla in some trouble.
Goes in by himself. Rotation finally here for BaRRaCCuDDa, but the deed is already done, and JeffHindla, honestly, Luminosity was out. Jeff goes back in. The rest of LG is trying to retreat, and he gets picked off of a pluck coming out from PolarBearMike. So the aggression, the way of Luminosity, trying to steal away a buff. Randozos chase him off, and they do a beautiful, and honestly beautiful job of chain CCing Whalrus to keep Snoopy alive. Then Jeff, one mistake, gonna find himself dead.
Uh-oh.
Meerkat's fine. Oh no, maybe he's not.
Purification used.
He's
Down
not.
comes the Thor. Meerkat toasted. Andinster and BaRRa very aggressive. Andy still on the prowl, but Skeeledon able to jump away. Red buff has come up. Will Randozos finally get their power buff? They'll certainly get a tower.
They know Aduro's over here. They see him on the minions. I mean, this is going to be free, or at the very least, not that many players can contest. Andinster doesn't even care about this. He steals away Skeeledon's red buff, and he still chases Skeely in the jungle.
Gold Fury goes the way of Luminosity. Jump forward from Skeely, looking for Andy. PolarBearMike too soon on the abduct. CC immunity still running from Purification, so no grab.
And Aduro, I mean, just split pushing, but he does get a little bit of farm. Still ahead of BaRRaCCuDDa, but it just seems like Luminosity, they've just been so much more, they've just been cleaner.
Exactly. They've paid attention to, like I said before, they identified what was keeping Randozos relevant in the game. It was Skeeledon. They took away the majority of his farm every chance they got, every single buff on cooldown. They go and they strip the jungle. They get, because of their jungle pressure, they have a lead. They're able to push that in a team fight, give themselves enough space to get the Gold Fury, not even for free. They got paid to take that Gold Fury. 3,500 gold in the lead, despite being even on the kills. Luminosity are winning this game with X's and O's, not the brawl that Randozos were searching for.
This is the experience of a team with, how many, 2 world champions on it?
Yep.
Andinster and BaRRaCCuDDa. JeffHindla as well. So 3 world champions on this squad, 2 players who have been to Worlds and been at the top of North America. They know how to win games. Even if they can't find a kill lead, even if they can't, steal away every buff, they know how to win games.
And I mean, even the players that are world champions, Snoopy and BaRRaCCuDDa, during their regular season champions, they had a Panthera-esque season once upon a time. So Luminosity's set up for victory here. But Randozos is doing their best, and now you see Randozos with a little bit of the aggression in the enemy jungle.
Whalrus, caught between 2 towers here, doesn't even care about Andinster and Snoopy though, and Andy's going to burn his ult for that. Now Randozos, they're grouping up. They know their strength is team fighting, trying to force this down. They need to be careful though. It's very hard to fight into circle of protection. It's not the easiest.
Pings out onto Vamana, so Luminosity know that Vamana's not going to be there for the fight, which is why they're being so aggressive with their placement. They know that Whalrus isn't in the jungle lurking. He's all the way on the lane.
He also just backed, and he has teleport. Going to force Snoopy to the opposite side of the map, but it looks like Randozos gave up on Tier 1 tower. And Aduro trying to find some poke on TheBoosh. He will tickle him.
450. That's more than a tickle.
That's a
good old-fashioned punch in the face.
Hey, man. It's like got a left and a right fist. Those are the balls. Coming out.
Tier 1 tower goes down
aggression.
on the left side, and the Aduro ultimate going to try and help and find Jeff. Stuck in the tracks. Love the stun out of Andy, preventing the abduct, but comes around a second time.
They're
Jeff
grouped.
brought down very low, and Intoxicate's going to separate him from the group. And Skeeledon also chased away. Big play by Luminosity to just completely divert all attention away from that team fight.
That could have gone so much worse for Randozos, but they barely escaped. They dump a lot into Jeff, who has the tank boots. He's got the double auras coming out with Sovereignty and Heart Ward, and he has Shell. He's surviving a lot of this damage pretty easily.
You know what's funny? Last game we saw, we've seen supports get beat up. Murder, unfortunately, on Torpedo got beat up a whole bunch, and he's not the only one. He's just the most recent. This choice to go tank boots into the... I said, supports are very vulnerable early game. Focus them a little bit. Well, that's not a squishy Bacchus at any point in the game.
We're 22 minutes in. He ain't easy to take down anymore. And also Bacchus, people always forget Chug. I mean, it gives you percentage damage reduction, and it's not. He's pretty tanky. A lot of people like kind of forget about the protections that it gives you.
35% max protections at level 1, or at level 5, of course. So he's getting 15 right now, which is still very relevant.
Plus shell,
exactly.
Which is, what is it, 45 all?
And it's
So that's 60 plus 15% damage reduction. Like
the damage reduction is
you ain't killing that Bacchus.
Yeah, the damage reduction is key, especially against the true damage that Serqet can bring out. Also keep that in mind in your games against Bacchus. True damage on Butcher Blades. Get shelled. 3-3 are the kills, but Luminosity has much larger lead than that might lead you to believe. About 6,000. 5,000.
Rotation coming in from Randozos, trying to make something happen here against BaRRaCCuDDa. They're actually going to steal away the red buff, or at least attempt to. BaRRaCCuDDa can't do much but watch. You actually see him place a sentry deep into his own jungle. Whalrus going to fall on the right-hand side to a 3-man gank, and now it's the game of chicken.
Yep. They're going to play chicken.
Luminosity are very good at chicken. They are the best team at chicken in the world.
They take this option a lot, where Luminosity will choose to I don't even know if you call this split push. They just choose to take the tower by themselves instead of the tower against the opposition. And I like that play because they're able to split up 2 and 3. BaRRa just crushing Skeeledon. BooSh a big part of that. Up in the air is Thor and down on the ground is Thor. And they're able to take out Meerkat before he even leaves the building. That's another kill for BaRRaCCuDDa, the first one of the contest. And he'll wind up with an additional 5 power because of it.
I mean, Luminosity lost chicken. But they find a couple kills in return. They're going to find the Gold Fury as well, 6-3. And Aduro, he has his ult up. I mean, this is going to be a miracle. He's going to try and snipe it away, I imagine. He's lining it up. You can see him deep in the jungle here. There it goes. Does a lot of damage, but not enough to finish off the Gold Fury and Luminosity. I mean, it was a lead before, but now 8,600 gold, 7,600 experience. It's going to start to get real rough for Randozos. The fighting, like the fighting, the brawling, where everyone's even, it's not happening anymore. Now they're going to be fighting into an item level lead on most of these players.
Yeah, and this is where it starts to get uphill for Randozos. They got to find the right fights. They got to find the picks. The picks, honestly. And Luminosity in a position where nobody is really a nice target. In all honesty, you want to look at andinster. He hasn't really built into any defensive items, no breastplate, or even the hybrid items like the Shifter Shield or the Void Shield we usually see. He's all out. Jotuns into a ton of hammers.
Can we take a look at player damage here real quick before we see another fight? So, sitting at the top, andinster.
No surprise.
And a lot of this is just the presence of the jungle, right? andinster has this global ult as well. He's going to take to this guy here, looking for Aduro on the side. And Aduro's going to be able to juke out for now, but I mean, he's surrounded. Good purification. And he is going to be able to find himself a wall, but I mean, who's he going to run into? He's done. He can't get out. Snoopy actually just ults so he could kill Steel. He really just did that.
Doesn't even get the kill with it. Gets it with the Scourge.
I guess Aduro had ult, so maybe he wanted to confirm getting closer.
I like the Pestilence coming out from Snoopy as well. That'll work directly against the Vamana.
But, I mean, andinster has just been all over the map, forcing everything, and Skeeledon has just... It's just been a reaction game from Skeeledon and Randozos. Whalrus caught out here. Wall kind of stops Luminosity, but Fire Giant still started. And the split push coming out from Randozos. They have Apollo and it looks like, is that Skeeledon? Yeah, Skeeledon's going to be split pushing as well.
That could be a Phoenix, depending on how long Luminosity stay here dealing with Whalrus and PBM. Whalrus going to dash out.
The body blocks.
You still see the guys in mid lane pushing up for the Phoenix. And it's already starting to take damage. Phoenix half HP, Whalrus much less than that. Trying to dodge out the wind gusts, but unable to. Phoenix does fall, so Randozos get something for their chicken play. Very, very smart choice coming from Randozos. There's no way they can take that fight on Fire Giant. We've established
They would
that.
have to steal. You have to steal the Fire Giant. It's not like you're going to win that fight, especially fighting into that circle protection once it's dropped there to get the last burst. Skeeledon going to do his best job at running away, and it looks like no one's close, so he'll be fine. He'll be able to escape out of this one.
And, you know, I mean, it's hard to say that's a win for Randozos because they wind up on the other side of a Fire Giant and down 7,000 gold, but I kind of feel like that's best case scenario. You got a Phoenix. Like I said, you can't really fight into that Fire Giant. What are you supposed to do? Sticking your hands in your pockets is the ultimate way to lose a MOBA. So find something to do. Grab the Phoenix. But Luminosity going to get at least one with their Fire Giant
and
here.
Now they're surging forward here. Aduro was split pushing the right-hand side, but he's back to base. And Whalrus not spawning for a couple more seconds. This Phoenix looks like it's going to go unprotected here as JeffHindla zones. Intoxicates actually does a lot of damage to Meerkat.
And BaRRa the whole time just focused, hyper-focused on that Phoenix, able to just take it down very quickly. The second Phoenix of the game goes down here at 26 minutes, not the first, as the Rando is able to pick up theirs. But the tier 2 here, going to go down. I expect another Phoenix push again,
no,
but judging from body language,
they were ready to back anyways, and they realized that they could just get this tower uncontested.
Yep.
So why not finish it off? You got a little bit more gold, and a lot of that too. You could see the fire minions raining in. They're going to want to push up this lane, let their fire minions on the left-hand side push up, and then they'll probably have a single-person split push the right lane. I would imagine Snoopy or andinster will be the one to pressure it. So then they kind of force Randozos to make a decision. Which lane do we want to defend?
I'd like to see Andy do that as well. Andy's pushing up. He has the ultimate to escape or engage, depending on how it goes. I mean, he's sitting up there, top of the player damage for a good reason. Look at his build, just raw penetration, raw damage. And frequently we talk about the different roles that junglers have, and specifically Thor. This is one of the rare opportunities that we get to see a pure offensive Thor. So many times ultra cooldown and more frontline and just relying on CC from that character, but he's able to just be pure damage with characters like Bellona, Isis built with the helmet, and more importantly, the Bacchus, obviously.
Arduro here trying to get his red buff. This is actually going to be very important. It's not even just making sure that Luminosity can't steal it away. It's just like, it's actually a significant power increase. You can see it went, I believe, from 200-something to 354 magical power. Rod of Tahuti being worked on as well. He needs about 600 more gold to finish that one off. But the problem is now he's not going to be able to farm up. He was able to split some waves with Meerkat, so Meerkat could finish off Rage, but it's still going to be hard to fit for Randozos. I like the item choices they're going into. Rage finished by Meerkat, so looking for a little bit of RNG. And Arduro securing that red buff, trying to finish off Tahuti before these fights break out.
And on the other side of the barrier, another Masamune for BaRRaCCuDDa. This time a very late game Masamune. We saw this early in the last time we saw it. It's 50 power and a bunch of movement speed for only 2,200 gold. So it's very efficient if you're just looking for raw power.
And you can see him swinging away there. Has a 1.76 attack speed. Fight's going to break out, though. And it's actually an engage coming out from all of Randozos. Andinster to the sky, though. He's going to look to protect. BaRRaCCuDDa in the back line. Phoenix has already fallen in the engage. Basically a wash as Arduro is caught out.
And he just able to chase down Arduro, hitting him in the face with that Mjolnir. Now looking at the last Phoenix is Luminosity.
All their ults are down, though. And Randozos, they have everything up. It was only Arduro's ult force there. I thought Randozos had actually all in, but now, I mean, this is their opportunity. Skeeledon in the back. He's going to look for the boost. Circle protection will keep him alive for now, and Whalrus is forced back.
So quickly. Whalrus needs to stay tanky in those engagements. He just hasn't had the ability to really, he's just too far behind at this point. Over 10,000 gold deficit. Yeah, 13k deficit. This one goes the way of Luminosity. Titan falls. Randozos cannot control LG into the late game. 10 kills to 3 and just shy of the half hour. Luminosity take down the clown.
And once again there, Luminosity, or excuse me, Randozos kinda looking solid in the early game.
Yeah.
They show they could fight, but just like the people are on different pages. And then Luminosity kind of just showing their tenure there, walking away with 2 gold furies after really well-timed fights.
Let's take a look at how this one all began. It started with, well, first blood, as is always, and JeffHindla starting to come around. And that's really what it is. He tries to find the more setup for his team, but honestly just wants to take it in.
Let's highlight TheBoosh a little bit here. Really good positioning coming out from him, rocking the Isis, obviously that early game champion. Transition into the mid and late game, though, as kind of this, I'm going to do objectives with my team and sit in the back line.
And it's rare that we see this playstyle come out of BaRRaCCuDDa.
Oh, this spear, Paul. Look at this. Max range. Skeeledon, 100% to 0.
Yeah, it's rare that we see that sort of, I don't want to say frontline Isis, but the utility Isis come out of BaRRaCCuDDa. It's rare that we see utility anything really come out of BaRRaCCuDDa. And you're seeing here in these clips, I mean, he's really just all about these kills. 4, 1, and 4. Helping out his team just as much as he's helping out himself trying to deal the damage into the enemy team.
Just kind of hitting everything.
Yep.
I mean, that's
what you've come to expect.
He's a mechanical god.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've come to expect. What we've come to expect out of BaRRaCCuDDa. And Snoopy has been hot and cold, but this game was certainly one of the more hot ones for him. The solo lane guy, 2, 1, and 4 on the Bellona, was able to really help out his team.
Yeah, he almost got soloed at level 5 there, but after that, just a really well played game. Saves Andinster a couple times with meditation, and then just look at this. Like he's looking, he knows that Arduro can only have a couple options for the wall, and even here, he knows Aduro's ult's up. He just closes the gap, finishes him off with the Scourge, and it was just kind of rotating around, making sure Aduro had so few options to kind of escape that fight.
Very well played by Snoopy, able to turn things in his team's direction. Luminosity